Welcome back, and many thanks for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. Like I did mention in my preamble before going for a short break, yes, Uganda was only producing between 83 to 85 liters of milk in 1986. But after the institution of the Dairy Development Authority in 1998, we did see a milk consumption and output, that is production, actually increase within the country. That was before the country could privatize the National Dairy Corporation, that is in 2006. Yes, Uganda is now a minority shareholder in that company, the National Dairy Corporation. Between 1986 and, like I did mention, 85 liters of milk were being produced, but now we're talking about 2.8 billion liters of milk being produced, and Ugandans are only consuming 800 million liters of the same milk. What are we doing with the same of the milk? Where is it going? One of the, I'm sure the viewer is thinking, we should be actually sending this milk maybe to Kenya, Tanzania, and, taking advantage of the market within the region. But then the Kenyans, as of December 27th, that is 2019, they said, no more milk coming in from Uganda. Remember the Lato milk trucks that were stopped? Yes, over 3,000 packets of powdered milk were stopped from entering Kenya. So we've been having a burn in the offing since 27th of December 2019. Kenyans are not allowing our milk to go into their country. So that is adding more to our problems. We are putting out more milk, but then the consumption is less and the market is non-existent. But guess what? The Dairy Development Authority was not sitting idly. What did they do? Yes, they created a market in Zambia. We were talking to the people within Zambia, and we did actually distribute some milk to that jurisdiction, and they are also looking at a wider coverage of Ugandan milk in that regard, so that we do not only focus on the East African Community region, but also maximize on the whole African region as we export our milk. Milk was actually accounting for over $100 million before we entered this pandemic. That is 2019. That's what I'm talking about, $100 million. And they emphasized that this could go all the way to $500 million in exports if we could do away with the death of the exotic breeds and also do away with the ticks that are resistant to the acaricides on the market. Yes, those are some of the details. But then I do have the acting executive director for the Dairy Development Authority, that is Samson Akankiza Mpira, and is joining me right now on set. Very good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, give us an inception of a brief analysis of the Dairy Development Authority, when it was birthed and what you've been doing since 1998. Like I was telling the viewer, we were only producing 85 liters of milk in 1986.
Yes, sure.
2.8 billion liters of milk are being churned out of our country, but then only 800 million liters are being consumed. Okay, give us a situation analysis of where we've come from and where we are now.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator, and good morning, viewers. My name is Samson Akankiza, and I'm the acting executive director, Dairy Development Authority.
Indeed.
Yeah, this is an agency under Ministry of Agriculture and Industry and Fisheries, and we are mandated to regulate the dairy industry, but also stimulate and facilitate the dairy development activities. The authority was birthed in 1998 under the Dairy Industry Act.
I see.
And since that time, we've been working towards regulation to have safe and quality milk, but also a lot of activities have been undertaken to ensure that we have clean and safe milk. Like you said, that time we had very few liters of milk coming from the dairy farmers. As we speak now, we produce 2.8 billion liters of safe and clean milk.
Of course, things did change when we did see the creation of the National Dairy Corporation. Was it around 2001, 3 years later?
Yeah.
But then it was privatized in 2006. How did that affect you and your operations?
All right. Well, the Dairy Development Corporation was acting as a single government entity, and I would want to take this opportunity to thank the government for liberalizing the sector from one processor to now currently 140 small, medium, and large scale processors who are processing 2.8 million liters daily. So there's a lot of growth that has happened since the sector was liberalized, but also Dairy Development Authority taking the lead in ensuring that there is a lot of production for milk and also processing to regulate so that we can access markets locally and internationally.
Indeed, we are producing over 2.8 billion liters. We are only using 800 million liters of the same milk. Why is there little demand for the same milk? Or little consumption of milk in Uganda?
Yeah, there's a challenge of consumption in the country, because looking at the requirement for an individual to grow well, we are supposed to have about 200 liters annually, the per capita consumption.
According to the World Health Organization?
Yeah, according to World Health Organization. Currently, we are consuming only 63 liters. So there is a very little intake of dairy products.
What could be the problem, Mr. Akankis? Because our neighbors, Kenya, they could very probably talk about 181 liters. The Tanzanians could talk about 131 liters. At least they are edging towards the 200 liters a year. But us, 63 liters per person a year. What could be the problem? Yet we are producing too much coming in from southwestern Uganda, northeastern and eastern parts of the country.
Yeah, thank you. The biggest challenge is that there have been myths around the consumption of dairy and milk products. This being created by opportunists who are trying to also market their other products.
I see.
Yeah, but it is important that the country understands the benefits of milk consumption, because we...
Let's first understand the myths.
Yes, please.
What are they? So
the myth, there have been myths of around saying that milk can make you fat, obese, but scientific evidence has shown that that's not true.
All right.
Yeah, because you're looking at the milk, the fat content is only 4%.
Indeed.
There are other high-fat products, and also one single product, food nutrient, cannot make you fat. The obese comes as a result of too much intake of calories, what the body requires than what you take in. If
you're taking more than 500 liters a year, you might end up in that same position.
Yeah, but again, that alone does not cause the obesity. But also looking at the milk itself, it has this satiety feeling when you take it. Actually, it might end up making you reduce the weight.
Are you sure?
You feel full, and you might not want to take other food products. So if you take the milk, it does not cause the obesity if you take it in right quantities.
What other myths are we talking about?
The other myth is that they are talking about causing gas. This is true for lactose intolerant people, but looking at the
like myself.
But there are other products that you can take.
Indeed,
yeah,
but I resist. I continue taking the milk. I'll just take maybe some, few tablets after that to ensure that I do not get stomach upsets.
Yeah, but still you can have other processed products like cheese, yogurt. Those are that go through fermentation process. Do not have the lactose. But there's also a lactose-free milk, which is on the package, and this can alone help you not have the gas. So the other myth is that there have been a talk around that it causes acne when you take the milk, but that's not true. That's not true.
Indeed.
So looking at those myths, some people are not taking the milk for benefits of health, but most importantly, the children are not accessing the milk, and we are having a lot of challenges.
And that's why we are here, to promote milk consumption among the children.
Yeah, sure.
Why is it that there is lesser consumption among the children who should be ideally having more of this milk?
Yeah, we need to strategically look at how we can promote this, and also make sure that the parents are aware of the benefits of milk consumption. Because looking at the milk as a wholesome food, it is important that we really put in effort to ensure that there is consumption of milk.
Indeed.
And this can be a deliberate action to ensure that milk is consumed in schools, but also a lot of awareness. As DDA, we are trying to ensure that the parents are aware of the benefits, such that they do not buy other beverages, but give them milk for consumption. Because looking at it in terms of nutrient, milk offers a very big benefit.
As the Dairy Development Authority, are you putting out these proposals to the parents and saying, well, when you're sending your child to school or a school setting, ensure that you give them some kind of milk? Or are you, as DDA, taking on this initiative to actually provide milk in the school setting when we reopen in January of 2022?
Yes, as DDA, we are working with the private sector, because largely it's private sector-led initiatives. But as an authority that is looking at promoting consumption, we have really worked with the private sector to ensure that these processors, to ensure that the milk is available in schools, but also there have been pilots as DDA working with the government partners and private sector initiatives to ensure that We pilot milk in schools. It has been done in southwestern Uganda. But also now we have expanded to central and going countrywide. There is a national steering committee to look into in terms of policy, but also awareness, that it is composed of DDA as a lead, the Environment Authority, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and development partners and private sector.
The viewer would also like to know, if we are churning out, let me see, 2.8 billion liters of milk, we are only exhausting 800 million liters of the sale milk, there's a big surplus that is left. So then why is milk so expensive in this country?
Well, the milk is not very expensive because looking at other beverages that are competing with it. Most of the juices and a pack of the same weight. Really, it's about the same price. But the issue is that we need to really make it as a point to ensure that that milk is accessible to people and also aware of the benefits.
Mr. Kankisa, you did have half a liter of milk before this pandemic could even buy it. It was going for 1,500. That was the most it could go for, but now we're talking about 1,700 for half a liter of milk. Yet we've seen output increasing, but then the money is also increasing. 200 shillings is a lot of money.
Yeah, well, because you see, the issue is that if there is less consumption of milk in the country and also export needs for the product, the processors won't be able to process the milk because it is highly perishable. So the demand and the supply should be going at the same pace. But in an event that we are not consuming enough, not providing a market for the milk, it makes it operationally expensive in terms of processing. But the moment we take more milk and have more markets for the processed milk, then we'll significantly see a decrease in the price.
Before we get into the market that is Kenya, they banned our milk, but then we also do know that locally here in Uganda, the milk we are producing, only 30% is being processed. And why? Well, why is it that way?
Well, like I said, that these processors, they have their installed capacities that can take more of the percentages. But the processing goes with the demand on the market.
I see.
So the moment we put more demand for the processed products, we'll see more milk going through the processing facilities. And more of the investors coming on board to do the processing of the milk. Yeah.
All right. The Kenyans, since December 27th, 2019, banned milk from coming in from Uganda. They say our milk is not of good quality. Well, before that, because those are two arguments that came in from the Kenyans. The first argument was that the milk came into our country through the borders minus paying taxes. Weeks later, we're hearing that, no, it's because the milk was not of good quality. Well, it has taken how many years? Since 2019, we are still grappling with the burn. How has it affected the dairy industry, and what are you doing to actually maximize or expand the market for dairy products from Uganda?
Yeah, first of all, I want to make it clear that the issues of banning the milk to go to Kenya was not as a result of quality. We ensure that we produce the best quality, and we have a robust regulatory framework as the whole system, MAIF and DDA, to ensure that whatever goes on the market is of high quality. And as DDA, we work through the farmer cooperatives to ensure that milk from the source up to the cup is of high quality. So the issues to deal with low quality products, that's not true. Also, the Kenya market, they came here. They came here and assessed our value chain, and that was not the case. It has, yes, affected our exports in terms of, because they used to take a lot of milk to Kenya. But as government, we have looked at alternative markets.
Before you go to the alternative market, let's first focus on the Kenyans. You did tell us it was not because of quality. What was the problem? Well,
this could be the non-tariff barriers to trade, but the issue is that the quality is okay. The milk, we have enough milk. As you said, there's surplus, of course. looking at 2.8 billion liters, we have the capacity to supply Kenya and beyond.
So on the part of the Kenyans, what was the argument on their side? Because we've had some conspiracy theories, and I do not want to profess them right here on the show. That's why I wanted you to actually tell us what communique came in from the Kenyans. Because according to what we heard from the Kenyans was that they wanted to create market for their own farmers in the country. They were also producing milk, and they had no market to actually sell. But then there was milk coming in from Uganda in huge droves, and they needed to curtail that. And that's why some of the recommendations that came in after that encounter, they did allow some trucks to come into the country. If we were actually taking 10 trucks into Kenya, they said only 2 would be entering the country. Could that have been the reason that they were actually trying to combat the competition coming in from Uganda?
Well, I cannot say that that's the fact, but
so what is the fact?
The issue is that the Kenyan counterparts are trying to look at the aspects that you've said. But from our side, we have told them we are ready to come and assess whatever they want to assess. And yes, it's true, some milk is going with quota, because they provide some
quota system.
Yeah, the quantities. So that clarifies that the quality is good. Yeah, the issue of not allowing us to take the milk there, I think that I've not ascertained that as a fact. But what I know is that we are also producing the same commodities, so we are in the same market. So that can't be rolled out.
Indeed.
Yeah, sure.
And of course, we did mention that out of the milk we are producing right now, 33 is being processed, that 3%, and over 7% is being exported as raw milk. Why are we not adding value to our milk?
For the fact is that we do not export raw milk because the regulations, the dairy marketing and processing regulations of 2006 do not allow the exportation of raw milk. Whatever is exported is processed. There is no export of raw milk in the country.
But the 67% is also being sold locally, but as raw milk.
Yes, it's being sold as raw milk, yes, that's true. But we ensure quality of that raw milk because we have a robust system to ensure that even if it's raw milk, it is of high quality and it's being dispensed through milk sales outlets that are licensed and registered by the authority. The authority is looking at having more of the milk processed, but with the current installed capacities and the need for the milk to reach different places, we've been facing in terms of if we have a regulation to ban the sale of raw milk in municipalities and cities. But we are trying to ensure that there is access as we continue to increase the processing capacity to have more of the processed products reaching to the consumers. So we are phasing out the raw milk sales as we are ensuring the quality of the raw milk so that the consumers are taking quality and safe milk. However raw it is being.
You see, the dairy farmers had to learn the hard way during the COVID-19 pandemic. They were stuck with this raw milk, and yes, most of it expired or really went bad. And that's why we are talking about adding value to our milk. Processed milk or milk powder does have a shelf life of 24 months. That is about 2 years, if you will. What can be done to ensure that we add value to our milk? Tangibly? Yeah,
tangibly, we've been trying to work with the private sector to ensure that we produce more of the products that have longer shelf life. There is a trend of the private sector. The big ones have already adopted because we already now into the production of casein. Casein is a protein that is extracted. Let's say that Amos Dairy is doing a lot of casein production, which requires a lot of raw milk, of freed milk to be turned into protein. For every kilo you can use 15 liters. More of the other processing facilities have installed powder milk production lines, and powdered milk and casein and other and cheese would take milk to a longer shelf life, and in that then we reduce on the post-harvest losses.
Indeed. Yeah. Before I talk about the challenges that are leading to lesser output being put there, because you do have experts who are saying we were actually putting out $100 million of milk in exports, but then that could go all the way to $500 million. We would like to talk about the challenges that are dampening the resolve of reaching that feat. But first off, let's talk about the external market. You did tell us that recently you did reach out to the Zambians, and that is a market we were possibly actually tapping into. How was the deal executed, and where are we right now in looking at other markets?
Well, we have worked with the private sector to access those markets, but this has been an initiative of government that have worked with the DDA to ensure that we have those markets. We ensure the quality and work with the private sector to, the processors, to ensure that the quality is taken there. But also, there has been a very deliberate effort by His Excellency the President. He contacted the counterpart in Algeria. We are going to put the milk in the Algerian market. They want about 4 billion liters. But also the Zambia market
that is great news.
Has been sealed, where we are going to export 700 metric tons to Coca-Cola Beverages. And looking at Coca-Cola Beverages Africa and their chain of distribution, we are looking at it expanding in terms of the volumes that are required.
Of course, when you look at the demand right now with the Algerians, it means we are producing less, 2.8 billion. So we need to ramp up more so that we cover that market coming in from Algeria. And it will take a lot to do away with issues of our exotic breeds dying as a result of so many factors, and also the ticks that are resistant to the acaricides on the market. What other markets, what other factors are actually dampening the resolve of this country to increase output of milk?
Well, there have been an issue of foot and mouth disease that has caused also the milk going down. But that has been working. They are trying to address the fact. Vaccines are coming in, and most of the cattle are going to be vaccinated against FMD. And of course, most of the markets would want milk which is coming from an area that has been FMD free for 1 year. Once we achieve that, we are working with other partners, the Ministry of Agriculture, to ensure that there are zones that are quarantined for cows that are producing milk for those markets.
And the issue of the resistant ticks?
The resistant ticks, we are producing our acaricide here and trying to ensure the regulatory framework for the acaricides coming into the country is tightened to ensure that but also the challenge is that the farmers are not using the acaricides well. So we are making farmers aware on the use of acaricide, because the poor use of acaricide also bring about resistance of ticks. So we are doing that together with the Ministry of Agriculture, Industry and Fisheries, to ensure that the farmers are aware of what acaricide to use, but also on the regulatory side, we are trying to ensure that all acaricides on the market are of high quality.
Indeed, Samson Akankisa, before I let you go, milk contributed 9% of this country's GDP in 2014. How much does milk actually contribute right now in terms of GDP?
Currently, this last financial year, it contributed $205 million US as exports, export receipt.
Indeed.
Yes, and we are looking at it doubling the export and the volumes, because it has been prioritized under agro-industrialization as a strategic commodity for wealth creation. So in so doing, we are looking at more than doubling the production that, that we are working on.
Akankisa Samson Mpira is the acting executive director for the Dairy Development Authority. Thank you very much, sir, for having made the time to talk to us about this very pertinent conversation.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we are only consuming 800 million liters of milk out of an output of 2.8 billion liters. Algerians need some 4 billion liters, so that is good news for the country. Let's take a break. Return shortly.